Сколько? Сколько у меня есть, больше не могу. Вот, видите. Тогда дайте обратно.
Спасибо. Дай Бог тебе здоровья.
Спасибо, вам тоже. They're having fun? Sun is out. People have been locked up for so long. Why not have a bit of fun? It's a beautiful spring day in Riga, and just a week ago I was filming Women's Day in the snow, and today it's glorious weather. And I'm right here at the Riga train station for a very specific reason. Today, guys, I want to record some history with you, because the building you see behind me was actually built in 1960, the version we have now. About 100 years before that, in 1961, is when it was first erected, the Riga train station, and it connected Riga to Daugavpils, which then connected the St. Petersburg to Warsaw tracks.
BBC, CNN is fucking very bad. Blah blah blah.
Okay, that's
fucking this shit. People.
who, me?
No, you fucking world.
My fucking world.
I don't know why.
Why are you talking to me?
I am talking. No, this is propaganda. This is.
А ты на русском говоришь?
Да.
Я просто не понимаю, что ты хочешь от меня.
Ты по-русски? А
Когда
что
нужно, да, ну что ты хочешь от меня?
Я
Ты ко мне
просто
приедешь,
говорю.
и ты мне говоришь, откуда?
Не,
Из
я-
Англии. И что?
Не, я просто говорю, не надо, короче, говно в уши народу ссать. Хватит.
А что, я виноват?
Я не знаю, кто
Может
виноват.
быть, ты виноват? Откуда я знаю?
Ну, в том-то
А
и
что ты
дело.
со мной говоришь вообще? Про что ты говоришь?
Ты, если честно, кто ты такой?
Как что такое? Англичанин. Я не понимаю, почему ты так злой?
Я злой, потому что вы,
хорошо, я
короче,
понимаю, там
вы,
хуйня
короче,
везде.
зажигаете это пламя.
Мы, что, я виноват?
Вы
Мы это кто? Мы
Вы,
это
короче,
кто?
Ебался ты, мужика. Отойди, он снимает, и все нахуй ты лезешь.
Гатес, иди сюда, тут
не
еще
надо,
один
Не надо
заебал.
лезть к мужчине, он...
Хочу проблем.
Я с
Да
ним
ничего, я здесь
разговариваю,
турист.
что
Я
ты
знаю, что ты турист.
доебался.
Если со мной только не разговаривай.
Я с ним хочу договориться.
Не надо, давай, политика мне похуй.
Не,
Дальше
я-
снимай, иди дальше, снимай, не слушай.
Не, я просто
Ты
с ним
бухой не лезь, ты бухой, я слышу, как ты с ним разговариваешь. Ты бухой не лезь к нему, он снимает,
Я
ты снимаешь.
разговариваю.
Вот, вот убери его. Убери, он снимает.
Тут оказывается, бля, нахуй, дрину, мать.
Давай
Это, блядь,
успокоимся,
человек
что
приходит, снимает, а
здесь,
тут его доебывают.
успокоимся.
Извиняйте,
Ничего,
пожалуйста.
ничего, я...
Бухой просто.
Понятно, иногда бывает, да все бывает.
Извиняйте, пожалуйста.
Давай. The only thing I can honestly say from my personal experience is that this world's gone to shit. If you saw what just happened, I'm filming by the train station, getting ready to record history. And as I'm making my first cut, a guy comes up to me and says, "Are you English? Where are you from? Are you English?" And then he starts having a go at me as if I'm responsible for everything bad happening in Russia, in the Crimea, in the Donbass. And I want to emphasize to you guys just how complicated this area is. It's not as simple as people might think. This station right here, which is the reason why I'm here, was actually built about 160 years ago. And originally it had a line running from Riga to Daugavpils. And it linked the St. Petersburg railway that went from St. Petersburg all the way to Warsaw in Poland. Now, that line is not used anymore for the simple fact that it runs from Russia into Latvia, into Lithuania, down into Belarus, across into Poland, and in order to connect that line today, you'd need visas and you'd need to cross 3 EU countries. But at the time when it was built, this whole territory was part of the Russian Empire. And this complicates a lot of things. Another thing I want to point out, simply because of what just happened. Now this guy's obviously a Russian living in Latvia, probably born here, his parents were born here. And this dates back to the times of the Soviet Union, when you had this huge, massive country that had 15 republics, 15 different nations, if you like, that made up this one country. And obviously, there was migration within the country. Russians moved to Riga, to Latvia. Latvians may have moved to the Ukraine. I mean, there's this, but obviously with Russia being the biggest country, it's felt more. Now, from one day to the next, the whole thing collapsed. Literally. The country no longer existed. But at the time of the collapse, there were about 25 million people scattered all over the Soviet Union. 25 million Russians, that is. So what to do? What's the solution? They're no longer in their country, which was the Soviet Union. That country no longer exists. They're now in a country that yesterday was theirs and today is no longer theirs. What to do with these group of people? Now they've been here for 2, 3, 4, 5 generations, and the whole thing has turned now. They've become a ethnic minority, and that is a big problem, which is one of the fundamental problems of what's happening right now in Ukraine. Now obviously in Ukraine it's not as straightforward as here, because Ukraine, the history obviously is more tied to Russia than, let's say, the Baltic countries. As a matter of fact, Kievskaya Rus, the Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, once was the capital of the Russian Empire. So it's extremely complicated, but I've just witnessed myself how just being an ordinary English guy can explode in your face. And then I see things like in the UK, Wales, they've cancelled Tchaikovsky. Now what the hell is that supposed to be? Why would you cancel Tchaikovsky? What point are you trying to make? Are you trying to make a point that you're completely ignorant because Tchaikovsky's grandfather was actually Ukrainian? His great-grandfather was a Cossack? How does that make sense? Or the Italians tried to cancel Dostoevsky. You cannot cancel history. It just cannot be done. As much as you may want to, as much as you wish things were different, history just simply cannot be cancelled because you decide. So, going back to my point, we're at the train station. And the reason why I want to make this video is because there's a project going on right now called Baltic Railway. And all of this will be gone soon. And you might argue that that's a good thing because it's a Soviet, communist-looking eyesore. I personally really like it. It's one of my favorite places in Riga. But the truth of the matter is that what I'll miss the most is actually what's inside. And I've looked at some of the plans. There aren't many out there. And I could make out that that tower, hopefully, will remain. But all this, all the rest, is doomed. And yeah, it's what's inside that I'm really pissed off about. So let's go and have a look. Now I'm at the entrance of the train station, and as you can see, all around me, they are promoting destinations. And there you've got Minsk for 30 euros, St. Petersburg, 31 euros, Moscow, 36 euros. These are the destinations that are serviced from this station. Now, there's a specific reason why they don't head west, and that's because the infrastructure that is in place here is the Soviet infrastructure. The tracks that the Soviet Union used in order to run their trains weren't the same size as the ones used by the West. As a matter of fact, they were about 8 centimeters wider. So the trains coming along couldn't just hop onto the Russian tracks or the Soviet tracks and continue their journey. They did that, some people say they did that to prevent invasions and so on. It was more of a defensive measure. I've also heard stories that, you know, when they measured the actual tracks, I don't know which side got it wrong, but basically they measured the inside and then used that, or the outside, and used that measurement for the inside of the tracks. A little glitch that just, you know, made it completely different. But yeah, and that's why there's only trains destined for Eastern Europe, Russia, Belarus. And as you can see, I did a video where I went to the market a few months ago, and I walked along here and it was buzzing. And now it's a sad sight. All these businesses are shut down one by one. They've even closed off the access to the back here. You used to be able to cut across here and go all the way to the back of the station and then go underground into the market area. And unfortunately, that's no more. And that's why I really wanted to make this video while there's still a bit of it left to record this history in essence. A lady that specializes in pastilla. These are like sweets made from apple, dried apple, and they rolled out into a kind of a paste. All right, that's all new stuff. Electronic cigarettes, how are you, buddy? That's new, not so interesting. But all these little businesses, mom and pop businesses. ABC shop probably sells books for kids in Russian. Здравствуйте. I wanted to share one place with you that I used to go to a lot. I don't know if you can see up there in the corner. There's a place called Pilmeni, and they specialized in the typical dumplings that people eat in this region. And that too, unfortunately, is gone. That's all they sold. All varieties, stuffed with a multitude of things. And unfortunately, they've put these temporary things, as you can see, the way they're wired up and everything. I guess just in the meantime, until this all gets demolished. Although they've managed to salvage one place, which I've never eaten at, but let's go and take a look. Once again, your typical Latvian cuisine, which is just delicious. Let's see what else they've got in here. А что, нельзя?
Нет, нельзя.
А что, вы меня не снимаете?
Нет, мы не снимаем вас. Снимать здесь нельзя.
Хорошо. Спасибо. She just told me that I can't film in here, and I said, what? You're filming me, but that's okay. And once this new station is built, you can imagine that all these things, all these vendors are going to be replaced with your typical Starbucks, pret-a-manger, McDonald's, Burger King, and they'll never be able to compete, which to me is a crying shame. It's really like taking away a piece of history, but it's also inevitable. You know, I can't remain nostalgic for an era that is probably not efficient for the country. They need to upgrade their train systems. They need to link, obviously, this part of the world to the West. But nevertheless, it's still something that is changing, and any of you guys that like this kind of stuff, make your way out here while you still can. This is going to be planned for 2026, I think, so they'll probably demolish this way before to be able to construct it, so there's not long left. And let's take a walk around and see what we're going to be missing.
Будешь петь со мной?
Не умею, извини.
Ну, хотя бы припев. Я сижу и смотрю в чужое небо, из чужого окна, и вижу мой знакомый здесь. Я ходил по всем дорогам, и туда, и сюда, обманулся.
And now we're on one of the platforms, and from here, as you can see, the trains over there, the iconic electrichkas that link Riga to the rest of Latvia. You can pretty much get anywhere within the country for, I don't know, 2 to 5 euros. Actually, I don't know what's going to happen to those links. I hope they stay, because I use them a lot, and I'm hoping what's going to happen is that they just add some international destinations and keep the rest as it is, except for the building, obviously. So all this section was built in 1960, in the height of the Cold War. And I guess back then, people may have had the same concerns as I have now. You know, there was about 99 years old then, and they replaced the old station with this Soviet one. And I guess it's time for change. And right here, if we continue this way, so once upon a time, the train station pretty much ended right here, this way.